Versailles, 1751. Madame de Pompadour, the most powerful mistress in French history, is sitting on a small porcelain basin shaped like a violin. Warm water rises up between her thighs. She is using the most scandalous bathroom invention in 18th century Europe. A device so closely associated with sex and sin that the Catholic Church spent 100 years trying to ban it. It cleaned something no polite person would ever name out loud. And when American soldiers saw it for the first time during World War II in a brothel in Paris, they assumed it could only mean one thing. They came home and told the entire United States that this French toilet was a tool for prostitutes. That story stuck for 80 years. Now imagine a toilet that doesn't need toilet paper. That actually washes you clean. That's been used by 80% of the planet for over 300 years. And one country, almost alone in the world, refuses to install it, calls it disgusting, laughs at it, bans it from American hotel rooms. That country is the United States. And the reason why is one of the strangest cultural stories in modern history. I'm Henry Walsh of Filthy Past, and this is the hidden history of the toilet America was too embarrassed to use. This is the history of the bidet. Here's what most people don't realize. The bidet is far older than you think, and it didn't start in France. Throughout the Islamic world, going back to the 7th century, washing with water after using the toilet was considered a religious obligation. The Quran requires cleanliness before prayer, and cleanliness, in this context, meant water, not paper. Across the Middle East, North Africa, and into India, the practice was simple. A small jug of water, called a lotta or an aftafar, was kept beside every toilet. After relieving yourself, you used your left hand and clean water. The right hand was for eating. The left hand was for cleaning. The two never crossed. This is why, in many cultures, eating with your left hand is still considered offensive today. The taboo is over 1,000 years old. Meanwhile, in Europe, people were doing essentially nothing. Medieval Europeans wiped with whatever was nearby: straw, hay, moss, wool rags. Some used their bare hands and rinsed them in a basin of water. Many simply did not clean themselves at all. The result was constant skin infections, hemorrhoids, and a population that smelled, frankly, terrible. And then, in 1710, a French furniture maker decided to do something about it. His name was Christophe de Rosier, and he worked for the French royal family. In the early 1700s, de Rosier built a small wooden bench with a porcelain basin set into it. The basin was filled with warm water. You straddled it like a horse and washed yourself. In fact, the word bidet is the French word for a small horse, specifically the kind of pony you would ride sitting astride. The first known bidet was installed in the home of the Marquise de Prie, a member of Louis XV's court, in 1726. And the moment the French aristocracy saw it, they had to have one. Within a decade, every wealthy household in Paris had a bidet. Madame de Pompadour, mistress of Louis XV, had one made of solid silver. Marie Antoinette had a personal bidet decorated with hand-painted flowers and gold leaf, kept in her private chambers at Versailles. But here's where it got dark. Because the bidet was used in private bedrooms, often by women, often before and after sex, it became immediately associated with one thing: sin. The Catholic Church declared the bidet a tool of seduction. Priests preached against it from the pulpit. In 1770, the Vatican formally condemned the device, calling it incompatible with Christian modesty. The bidet was banned from convents. It was banned from religious schools. Catholic women in France were instructed by their confessors to refuse it. And in much of Catholic southern Europe, that ban held for nearly 200 years. In Italy, Bidets weren't legally required in homes until 1975, 250 years after they were invented. The most basic act of cleaning yourself was, for centuries, considered a sin. By the late 1800s, the bidet was finally being adopted across Europe. Plumbing improvements meant water could be piped directly into bathrooms instead of carried in by servants. In 1900, a Swiss inventor named Eugen Maurer designed the first wall-mounted bidet with built-in plumbing. It looked like a small toilet without a seat. Cold and hot water taps, a simple drain. Within 20 years, this design had spread to nearly every middle-class household in France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. In Japan, something even more remarkable was happening. Japanese engineers, watching the European bidet evolve, decided to combine it with the toilet itself. In 1964, the Japanese company Toto launched the washlet, a toilet seat with a built-in retractable nozzle that sprayed warm water at the press of a button. Today, more than 80% of Japanese households have a washlet or similar electronic bidet. In hotel rooms across Tokyo, the toilets have heated seats, automatic lids, ambient music, and built-in deodorizers. Meanwhile, in the United States, the bidet remained almost completely unknown. By the way, if you've made it this far, you clearly have a stronger stomach than most. If you want more stories like this, the disgusting, forgotten truth behind the things you use every day, hit subscribe. You're the exact kind of person this channel is made for. Now, back to the story. Because the reason America rejected the bidet is genuinely one of the strangest cultural moments of the 20th century. The year is 1944. American soldiers are advancing through liberated France. As they move through Paris and other French cities, they begin entering buildings the locals had used for entertainment. Cafes, hotels, and brothels. In nearly every Parisian brothel, the soldiers found bidets installed beside the toilets. The brothel owners had installed them for hygienic reasons, to allow the workers to clean themselves between clients. The American soldiers, almost none of whom had ever seen a bidet before, drew the only conclusion that made sense to them. This must be a sex toilet. They wrote letters home describing it. They told their families about the strange French perversion. By the time the war ended, an entire generation of American men had returned to the United States, carrying one consistent message. The bidet is a tool of prostitutes. It is unclean. It is European decadence. And then it got worse. In 1947, the legendary American hotelier Conrad Hilton tried to install bidets in a new hotel in Puerto Rico. The American press erupted in scandal. Newspaper editorials called it a moral outrage. Religious groups picketed the hotel. Hilton ripped the bidets out before opening day. And from that moment on, bidets were essentially banned from American hotel rooms. Not by law, by cultural disgust. American manufacturers refused to make them. American plumbers refused to install them. American home builders refused to include them. All because of a misunderstanding by soldiers in a French brothel during a war. Sound familiar? For 60 years, the bidet remained a punchline in American culture. It appeared in sitcoms and movies as a symbol of European weirdness. Most Americans had never seen one in real life. Then came March 2020. Within days of the COVID-19 lockdowns, toilet paper vanished from American store shelves. People panic-bought entire pallets of it. Fights broke out in supermarket aisles. Online retailers were sold out for months. And suddenly, Americans began asking a question they had never asked before. Wait, is there another way to do this? Sales of bidet attachments, the kind that simply clip on to an existing American toilet, exploded. The company Tushy, which had been struggling for years, sold out in 48 hours. Their sales increased by over 1,000% in a single month. For the first time in nearly a century, Americans were installing bidets in their homes. Today, the bidet is the fastest-growing bathroom fixture in the United States. Major retailers carry dozens of models. Plumbers are being trained to install them. Hotels are quietly adding them to upscale rooms. The most disgusting toilet in America is finally becoming the most desirable. It only took a global pandemic and a toilet paper shortage to undo the damage caused by a few American soldiers in 1944. Here's what most people never think about. The bidet isn't really about hygiene, it's about culture. 80% of the planet uses water to clean themselves after using the toilet. They consider the American practice of using only paper to be barbaric. They genuinely cannot understand why a country as wealthy and developed as the United States still wipes with dry tissue. And the only reason America doesn't is a series of completely unrelated historical accidents. A Catholic ban that lasted 200 years, a misunderstanding by soldiers in a Paris brothel, a scandal at a hotel in Puerto Rico, a few decades of advertising that taught Americans the bidet was something to laugh at. None of it had anything to do with whether the bidet actually works. And it does work. Studies have consistently shown that washing with water removes more bacteria than wiping with paper. Bidet users report fewer urinary tract infections, fewer hemorrhoids, and significantly less skin irritation. The product is, by every measurable standard, better. Americans rejected it for one reason and one reason only: because of what other people had decided it meant. The next time you see a bidet, remember, you are looking at a 300-year-old French invention, banned by the Pope, mocked by American soldiers, ridiculed by sitcom writers, and finally accepted by a country only when toilet paper ran out during a pandemic. You are looking at how culture decides what counts as clean. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Filthy Past. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and drop a comment below telling me which everyday object you want me to dig into next. Next week, we're going somewhere even worse. Before washing machines existed, laundry day was so physically brutal that women regularly drowned in the rivers where they did it. Chemical burns from boiling lye. 3 full days of work for a single load. And a job so dangerous that some historians estimate it killed more women in the 19th century than childbirth. The filthy history of the washing machine. Coming soon. Until then, take a look around. The past is filthier than you think.